So there's been a couple of notable movements in the Sword and Shield booster box market once again that I wanted to cover here, but we'll just go through Chilling Reign and Forward for Sword and Shield just to see how these other boxes are doing. Now there was a period where a lot of these boxes were seeing some major increases, which was a few weeks ago. But now the market hasn't cooled off, but we aren't seeing like $50, $100 price movements every few days. For a lot of these boxes, they've hit new price points, and some of them have stagnated a little bit. But obviously, it's just been like a week or two since we saw those price movements from Sword and Shield. But a couple of them have kept moving. So let's just go start with Chilling Reign first, and we'll go through the other boxes. So here, Chilling Reign is still basically at $600. Look at the supply in the market. On this page, there's 5 left at about 600. You can see though, after maybe 7-8 boxes, it does go up to $700. If we look at sales volume, you can see, with any of these boxes, they're pretty inconsistent. It could be one day 5 sell, some days none sell. So, it could just be one day it goes up to, the next price point, $700, because usually when people like buy out, products or cars or whatever, they buy until a certain price point gets hit. And this one, the next price movement up is about $700. So there only needs to be around 7 or 8 sold before it hits $700. Now on eBay, you're not going to find anything cheaper than $600. That's pretty much the same story with all these other boxes I found on eBay. There's really no deals. All I will say buying from TCG Player and eBay is if on eBay you can get it for the exact same price as TCG Player, but the box is like minty fresh, I would just rather buy from eBay, assuming obviously the seller is reputable. That's the only advantage I see to buy on eBay. Other than that, TCG Player, if it's cheaper by a good margin, then maybe it's just worth buying there. But for the most part, they're basically all the same price, whether you're on TCG Player or eBay for any of these Sword and Shield boxes. Now the next one, this is the big one that has moved up, which I was sort of seeing that it was going to happen somewhat soon. Evolving Skies booster boxes have been sitting at around 2,500 for a little bit of time now, but they are starting to move up, and they have now entered the $3,000 mark. You can see here, not last sold, but the lowest listed is at $3,000. None have sold here for 3K, but I'm pretty sure on eBay I've seen sales for about 3K. But yeah, it's basically now a $3,000 booster box. And if you go on eBay, the one thing on eBay for Evolving Skies, I guess this is the only anomaly out of all these booster boxes, it's a bit cheaper on eBay. You can save about $400 if you buy on eBay. You can see there's one listing here for $2,600, another one for $2,600. So you're able to find them for a little bit cheaper. So if you're looking to buy an Evolving Skies booster box, I'd probably check eBay. Now next here, Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike, you can see, is at $1,000. This is not super surprising that it hit 1,000. I mean, it was basically at 100 away from 1,000. It was at like 900, so it was gonna hit it, and it finally did. You can see there was just one day here where 8 boxes sold and 3 boxes sold, and now we're all the way to $1,000, and you can see there's been a few sales for $1,000. So this is officially a $1,000 booster box. Since I do not have Evolving Skies booster boxes, this is like officially the first booster box for me that I have that actually is worth $1,000. So I guess it's kind of nice to know that, hey, I have a booster box that's $1,000. Seemingly there's another booster box that's going to be hitting that $1,000 mark soon. But Fusion Strike, I don't have many of them, but at least I have some. I wish I had cases and cases and cases. I don't, but at least, hey, I have something that's worth $1,000. So pretty cool. And same thing with, like I said, basically all these except for Evolving. It's $1,000 or more on eBay. 1,200. Here's 1,000, 1,100. Yeah, not Evolving Skies. Fusion Strike is basically a $1,000 booster box. And just looking at the supply, we'll actually look at the supply here. I didn't pull up the supply on TCG Player. How much higher can this go? So looks like we're about 4 boxes away before it hits 1,100. So this might keep moving up, but for now it's hit a new price point in the 4 digits. Next, Brilliant Stars. So Brilliant Stars, you can see here, it doesn't really show anything, but lowest listed's at 600. There's like 5 boxes there. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of the same thing as Chilling. About like 8-9 boxes sell here. It will go towards the $700 range. So a lot of these, it could just be, one day where they sell. Recently, Brilliant Stars hasn't been moving as much as some of these other boxes, but Brilliant Stars, if, the other boxes start moving, this could as well. Now, if you go on eBay, same story. You're not going to really find them any cheaper. They're all basically $600. One here for like $580, but they're all basically $600. So not really any deals on eBay. Now TCG Player, Astral Radiance. Astral Radiance just really has not been doing much. At one point, they were in like the mid to high threes. Now it's just basically 400. Really hasn't done any significant movements. I've talked about Astral Radiance not being a bad set, but it's just sort of an unknown sort of set. Like nobody really talks about Astral Radiance. Everyone, talks about Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, maybe Silver Tempest, but nobody talks about Astral. It's just like a forgotten set. And the top chase card isn't that crazy. It's the Machamp. It's not a very sought after Altar out of all of them. So therefore, it's just very cheap. So right now it's still $400. Now, even though this isn't the most sought after booster box, can't really find it much cheaper on eBay. There's like one listing here for $375. Everything else is $400. So even Astral not being a top set in Sword and Shield, or at least the sought after one out of all of these, still you can't really find any deals for him. Now the last two here, Lost Origin. Lost Origin is in the mid 8s now. I truly see this, and this is the box I was talking about, with Fusion Strike. I see the next booster box hitting 1,000. I think it's probably gonna be Lost Origin. I don't think it's a crazy, I guess prediction to make, assuming, the other boxes don't go absolutely crazy, the ones that are in the $600 range. But I mean, this is at $850. I really see Lost Origin hitting the $1,000 mark by the end of the year. And yeah, if we look at the supply here, we could see this can hit $900 after what, just 5 boxes selling. 5 boxes sell. This goes to 900. Let's just count all these. So 3, 7, here. So 7, 8, 9. So like 10 boxes sell, and we're at $1,000. So that could honestly happen. I mean, we see like that happening with some of the other boxes, like Fusion Strike, 8 boxes sold in one day. That could definitely happen with Lost Origin. It has, I think it has what it takes to get to that point, and it probably will be one of the boxes targeted to get up to the next price point, because Fusion Strike just did it. I think Lost Origin is probably the second one that could get targeted to get up to that $1,000 price point. I really truly believe it will hit it by the end of the year, but I think it will probably happen much sooner. But there's not many boxes before this hits 1,000. So if you guys are looking to buy any of these, especially Lost Origin, before it hits 1,000, probably wouldn't wait too long. Now, if you go on eBay, same store as all these other ones, you're not finding it for any cheaper. You can see they're all basically $900 on eBay, so no real discounts here. Any of these, if you especially find any deals locally for any of these Sword and Shield booster boxes, things are moving very quickly. It can literally be overnight where these see $100, $200 increases, and Lost Origin is a very good set. And I think if you want to buy it before it hits that 4-digit mark, probably now would be the time, because Fusion Strike just went from mid 8s or like pretty much $900 to now 1,000, and it could go even higher looking at the supply. Lastly here, Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest is still in the mid 4s. Silver Tempest is definitely one of the top buys in my opinion to buy in the mid 4s. If you look here, there is a decent amount before it hits that $500 mark, but just any of these Sword and Shield boxes, even though seemingly like here there's a decent amount of supply before it hits like 500, which is like a $50 increase, still wouldn't wait to buy any of these. Silver Tempest I think is a very good buy at this price point. It's definitely, I think, underrated, but it's just, I think it's just going to take time for it to reach that price point of $500-$600. I don't think it's going to take too long, especially if these other boxes start moving. People see value in this and people go towards it. Now on eBay, you can see here, no deals. I found one here for like $410, but I mean, it's like beat up. You can even see in this picture. So everything else though is like $500. So basically you can see all these Sword and Shield boxes, there's no deals really on eBay except for Evolving. Everything's been moving, specifically recently, Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike. Everything else though, it could just be a few days, it could just be a week. Some of these only need 5-10 boxes to sell before they reach new price points, and Lost Origin is a big one. If you guys want a booster box before it's with a 4-digit mark, Lost Origin is probably be the one I'd focus on. But still, there's other good buys. Silver, Chilling, those are still good. But I think Lost Origin is a high flyer, and right now I think if you want to buy under 1,000, that's probably the one I wouldn't wait on much. So that's all I want to show you guys here. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.